Hey everyone, I am Manolia. Today I will mention about phonology, phonetics, and suprasegmentals. Firstly, phoneme and allophone. A phoneme is basic constructive sound in a language. Distinctive implies that the sound is significant because it alters the meaning of the word and contributes to effective communication. A minimal pair is a pair of words that differ in a single phoneme. Minimal pairs are often used to show that the sounds construct in a language. For example, pet and pet. Since phonemes are not predictable, it depends on what you want to say rather than rules. Phonemes are described as being used parallel distribution because they are found in the same or similar phonetic contexts and environments. On the other hand, allophone of a phoneme are predictable. It's one of multiple possible spoken sounds or signs used to pronounce a single phoneme in a particular language. For example, the voiceless plosive t and aspirated t are allophones for the phoneme t. When you change their places, doesn't cause a different word to be formed. For example, in top or in stop. Phonemic rules. There are some diacritic marks. Phonological process. First one, labialization before rounded vowels. Here is the rule. This rule applies to all consonants when they appear before rounded vowels. For example, pool and tool. Syllabic function of liquids and nasals. Word finally. These rules liquids and nasals become syllabic when they follow a consonant and are at the end of a word. For example, bottom. Dentalization of alveolar sounds before a dental. Alveolar sounds become dentalized when they appear before dental consonants. For example, sixth. Devoicing of sonorants following a voiceless consonant. Sonant sounds are devoiced and become voiceless when they appear after a voiceless consonant. For example, snore. Whether fronting before a front vowel. Whether sounds are fronted to the palatal region when they appear in the environment of a front vowel. For example, key. Nasalization of vowels before a nasal. Vowels are nasalized and become when they precede a nasal consonant. For example, some. Velarization of after a vowel or other approximant. This sound becomes dark or velarized after a vowel or other approximant and becomes after another. Example, girl. Retraction of front vowels before a front vowel become retract when they precede the velarized r sound. For example, aspiration of voiceless stops word or syllable initially before a stress vowel. Voiceless stops are aspirated pronouns with an initial puff of air when they occur at the beginning of a word or syllable before a stress vowel. For example, peace. Palatalization of alveolar obstruents before G in the following. Alveolar obstruents become palatalized before in the following syllable. Here there are explanation of the mentioned phonetic constraint in English. This sound is never found at beginning of a word. It typically appears within words and is often found after a stress vowel, like anger. Second, the sound consistently found at the beginning of syllable when preceding a stressed vowel also occur at the end of syllable, but typically in diphthongs. Third, this sound is found at the beginning of words only in pronouns, adverbs, prepositions, and defined article. It doesn't appear at the beginning of nouns, verbs, or adjective. However, it can occur fairly within words and the end of the words. Fourth, sounds never found at the beginning of words. They usually occur within words. Unlaced stops such as top are typically found at the end of words or before another stop sound. Consonant cluster in English. Consonant cluster refers to sequence or a combination of consonant sounds within a word either at the beginning or at the end of the syllable. Permissiveness of English in allowing consonant cluster. English is relatively permissive when it becomes consonant clustering. It allows for up to 3 consonants in initial cluster and up to 4 consonants in a final cluster. For example, ends. Restriction on initial consonant cluster. Initial consonant cluster in English are more restricted compared to final cluster. Several sequences are not allowed in initial position. Stop plus stop, stop plus nasal, nasal plus stop, stop plus fractive, fractive plus stop. Permitted initial consonant cluster sequence. English allows certain sequence of consonants to appear at the beginning of a word or syllable. For example, stop a voiced or voiceless stop plus approximant, voiceless fractive plus approximant. one possible combination of three consonants initially. English permits only one combination of three consonants to occur at the beginning of a word syllable. Voiceless stop plus approximant, strong, for example. Dialectal variation regarding after consonants. Different English dialects have variation in the pronunciation of j when it follows certain consonants, particularly alveolar consonants. Variability in dialects. It's important to note that these dialectic variations are not uniform across all dialects of English. Different regions and communities may exhibit different pattern of pronunciation. Consonant cluster in final position. Final consonants cluster in English can be more complex and can contain up to 4 consonants. This cluster occur at the end of words. No exhaustive listing. There are numerous possible combinations of final consonant cluster, and it doesn't provide an list due to space limitations. Permissible combination of consonants. Not all possible combination of consonants occur in English. Some example. Grammatical context and consonant clusters. Certain consonants cluster indicates specific grammatical context. Sequences of 3 consonants. For example, in, meets, boxed. Sequences of 4 consonants. Sequences of 4 consonants can occur, but they are rare. For example, 6, texts. Consonant cluster simplification. In case where the medial consonant in a cluster is a voiceless stop, native speakers tend to simplify the cluster by omitting these consonants. Native speaker intuition. Native speakers of a language intuitively know which consonant sequences are permissible within their language. Newly created words follow the phonetic principle of the language. Borrowed words and phonetic adaptation. Borrowed words may have non-English sequence but are usually adapted to conform to English phonetics. For example, psychology becomes cross-linguistic variability. While certain sequences are not possible in English, they may be found in other languages. Suprasegmental features. Stress in isolation. Every word spoken in isolation has at least one stress level. Stress involves an increase in air pressure and a higher activity in respiratory muscles, leading to more air being pushed out of the lungs during the articulation of a speaker's level. Additionally, there might be a larynx activity resulting in a higher pitch. In acoustic terms, stress levels are perceived as longer, louder, and with a higher pitch. Stress versus accent. While stress is often used interchangeably with accent, It's important to distinguish that as accent in this context does not refer to dialect features, but rather than emphasis placed on specific syllables. Types of language. Various languages in the world have different system of accentuation. Some are tonus language, are pitch differences along distinguished words. English, on the other hand, has a stress-based accent system. Function of stress playing a meaningful role in English in passing various aspects of language, including morphology, syntax, and discourse. Levels of stress. Traditionally, stress is categorized into different degree or levels at the word level. Example of stress level. In the example of the word competition, this syllable carries primary stress, while the syllable come also has a weaker form of stress known as secondary stress. The interaction between primary and secondary stress can create intonational patterns, superimposing a tonic accent onto the last stress syllable. Separation of stress. Secondary stress, although sometimes challenging to pursue, is generally separated from the primary stress by at last one syllable, either before or after it. Generalization about stress at the word level include stress plays a role in distinguishing different parts of speech in English. For example, it can different between nouns and verbs. Stress can distinguish a word from a phrase. For example, walk out or to walk out. Stress patterns in derivationally related words distinguish part of speech. For example, noun diplomacy, adjective diplomatic. There is a great deal of regional variation in magazine words. There are strong and weak forms of praise. For example, I am or I'm. Variation in the placement of stress within a multi-syllabic word can be influenced by the word's position within a sentence. Attributive position before noun. For example, Alex is an artificial person. The emphasis is on person, which is the last significant part of speech. Therefore, stress is located from it, open at the beginning of the adjective artificial. Predictive position following the word. When an adjective follows the verb in a predictive position, it may carry a different stress pattern. If the word very is included and stress for emphasis, the stress on the following adjective. Stress plays a crucial role in conveying contrastive emphasis within phrases units in spoken English. For example, I want the red one, not the blue one. Stress may be used in discourse to signal news as opposed to the old given information. For example, sentence A: Do you want to do you want pizza for dinner? In this sentence, the stress on you indicates that the speaker is questioning whether it's the address specifically who wants pizza. Sentence B: Do you want pizza for dinner? Here, the speaker emphasizes pizza, suggesting a question about the choice of food or dinner, pizza or another option. Sentence C: Do you want a pizza for dinner? In the sense emphasizing on dinner, indicating that the speaker is inquiring about the timing of the meal. Dinner, maybe lunch. Pitch level. Intonation can be described in terms of R pitch levels: extra high, high, middle, and low. Within a sentence, pitch alternates between low and high. The extra high level is used for strong emotion, constructive or emphasis, stress, surprise. Two basic contours. Traditionally, two basic intonation contours are recognized: falling intonation and rising intonation. Falls typically signal certainty of finality, while rise signal uncertainty. Variety of pitch patterns. Within three basic contours, various pitch patterns convey different meanings. Long falling express finality, conclusion, affirmation, or agreement. Short falling express a qualified or conclusion. Long rising is used in questioning and suggests a lack of finality. Short rising indicates some degree of reservation or serves a signal of attentiveness. Rising falling combines rising and falling elements to express finality with added emotion. Falling rising reflects skepticism or reservation. Dialectical variation. In notation, patterns can vary significantly among different dialects of English, such as British, American, and Canadian English. This variation can be distinctive but are often suppressed by the musical tones in songs. Long patterns. In long patterns, the pitch change, whether rising or falling, occurs gradually. These patterns are associated with a more extended pitch change over multiple words. They typically convey a certain degree of certainty and or emphasis. Short patterns. In short patterns, the pitch change is rather abrupt and typically happens over one or two words. This pattern may indicate impatience, lack of emphasis, or reservations regarding the context.